What's up, guys, and welcome to the Invincible podcast. This is a show where friends gather and talk all things Invincible, which is a comic book and animated series created by Robert Kirkman, Corey Walker, and Ryan Ottley. I'm your host, TJ, and joining me, as always, are our co-hosts. It's Bill.
Oh, hey, guys.
It's Ryan.
Hello, everybody.
And it's Wyatt Layne.
Hey, everybody.
Some crazy game show we're playing? What's happening?
DJ's in his Family Feud voice right now.
I do feel like I've always thought that when Ryan does the intro, he always puts a little emphasis on the R of Ryan Ottley. So
Ryan
I kind of
Ottley.
Maybe he always says Ryan Ottley.
I will tell you why.
Like a game show, and then I just kind of went with it.
I will tell you why.
You know?
Anytime I place an order over the phone for food or pizza or whatever it is, oh, okay, and what can you give me a name? Yeah, Ryan. Okay, Brian. Everywhere I go, they fill it in as Brian. So name, yeah, Ryan.
It's just enough. It's just enough to where it doesn't seem like you're being funny. It sounds almost normal.
DJ, I gotta say, you doing the intro, saying Robert Kirkman's name, I almost said it myself. I was like, and Lorenzo de Felici, because I feel like you always say Lorenzo de Felici's name.
I have to get myself out of that mindset, but
which is ironic.
But we're here. And Wyatt, how have you dealt with all of the fame over the past month since we've announced you as our fourth chair?
I was going to say, it's been so nice. I obviously, I listened to the show for years now before joining it officially. So I was a little nervous about, I don't want people to be disappointed that the, dynamic you guys have built is thrown off. But I've literally seen no negative comments whatsoever and just a ton of outpouring of people excited that I'm part of the show. Even got the little response from the Invincible Twitter account.
Yeah, you got a shout out.
That was the art gif of "Let's get to work, kid." I told Nicole yesterday, I was like, every now and then I think about how that happened. It just makes me feel good again. It just makes me feel good.
That's awesome.
Bill, you got your cast off finally?
Yeah, I'm walking. So I'm able to walk comfortably, I'd say. There's still pain. I can't run or jog or anything like that. I did one wheel a little bit, but I shouldn't have. So we'll just leave it at that.
All right. You'll be fine for San Diego, though.
Oh, yeah. I'm fine. I'm fine now to walk around. So San Diego will be good. Yep.
Good stuff. Can't believe it's a month away, guys. That's so crazy.
It is.
Oh, my God.
But yeah, if you want to be a part of the conversation, you can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. Check out our website at theinvinciblepodcast.com. You can follow us we're on TikTok now.
That's right.
Follow us over there. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're everywhere. And most of all, make sure you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube page because we're doing more content. And it's going to be a little bit more sporadic.
Wait a minute.
So if you hit the subscribe button, you'll get notifications when our videos drop and we'll all be happy.
This isn't the first Friday of the month.
It's not. It's not.
So wait.
Which is when we normally...
What?
See, if you didn't hit the subscribe button, you're finding this out probably after the fact. You didn't get it, and you're behind the...
It might be the first Friday of the month for some people listening because they didn't come by and they didn't subscribe.
That's true. This has been out already. No, we decided to release this one a bit early because, like TJ was just saying, with part of this kind of reboot of, in a sense, we're not... we're trying to be less beholden to releasing one episode a month on the first Friday of every month. If an episode is right, if the timing's right, if there's something that we want to talk about and we want to talk about it sooner than waiting for a month in some cases, we're going to talk about it. And that's what this is.
Yeah. I don't believe that is a word, Ryan. I think that's one of those words that you just made up.
Which one?
Beholden?
No, that's
definitely a word. That's definitely a word.
Nope. I don't know. Why. Just because you're a fucking teacher.
I'll Google it for you right now.
Your second grade students don't use that word. I'm sorry.
They don't use a lot of words, but, doesn't mean they're not words.
We don't use a lot of words.
Speaking of videos that we drop, Bill, you want to talk about the video we released last week?
Yeah, so it is finally time. It's out there, the hot ones that we did. It's compared to our regular episodes, it's short and sweet. I'd say it's just under an hour. But it's a good one. So, if you guys have watched Hot Ones before, it really gets interesting around the fifth wing and on. So, it's the depending on if you just want to get to the crazy, you can fast forward to the fifth wing or not. But it was fun.
No. So
No,
I will
it's all good, but-
say basically what it is Bill and I eat 10 wings and it gets hotter and hotter as it goes.
Mhm.
And then we have different conversation topics that Ryan and Wyatt made up for us. And Ryan did a great job at editing it. And so I would definitely recommend you can listen to it in the background. But I would definitely recommend trying to watch it because you got to watch it because the editing is a big piece of it. So check it out. It was a struggle.
I had way more fun, I could say, editing this video than being there in person watching you guys, because that kind of thing, like people struggling and like things hot, it stresses me out just watching, because I mean I spoilers didn't partake, but man, I had a lot of fun editing this video, man. I made myself laugh so many times.
Yeah.
Between what you guys filmed and the edit that you put together, it is one of the funniest videos on the channel, I think. Like, I got to see it as you were like working on it and everything, and I put it up and had Nicole watching it with me too, and she was like hysterically laughing through the whole thing. It's fantastic.
Glad.
Yeah.
Because when you're in it and you're recording it, I'm like, is this good? Is this even worth the struggle and the pain that we're going through? But it came out. I'm really happy with how it came out. I think it was really funny. And I have PTSD.
I have a friend that watches pretty much everything. Like, he's subscribed to our videos because he likes Invincible and on our podcast. And Ryan was like, that was super funny, and the editing was insane. Like, was so good. And this is somebody who doesn't say the word editing or anything like that. So the fact that like someone who doesn't really talk about it noticed it, it's really great. So treat yourself, watch this one, don't listen to it. Like, it's worth it.
If we didn't talk ourselves up enough, go check it out.
Yeah, no, we can't. It's impossible. It's
hopefully, good. Like we've been talking about ever since, I mean, even Wyatt coming and hanging out with us in person, we've been trying to do more of these kind of videos, more fun stuff. Not just the the episodes where we're talking about Invincible related news or things like that. We want to have a little bit, more fun, talk about other things a bit, and do some more fun videos. So hopefully there'll be more of that coming.
Yeah, there are more coming, and we can talk about that later. But for now, we did mention that San Diego Comic-Con is coming up. We're all going to be there. And if you guys are going to be there, then please reach out to us. We would love to meet up with some listeners and get to hang out and meet you guys too. So definitely reach out to us to all the places that I mentioned before, email, Twitter, all that stuff. So
yeah,
indeed. All right. Do you want to get to some emails maybe? We do have one email we got a couple emails this time, and we'll be doing a couple throughout the episode, a couple after we go over our main topic, which is Void Rivals, but we'll get to that. And then we got one at the end too, but we'll start off with this one. Caden Hall writes in, and he wants to know, he says, for the whole cast, what are each of your top 3 songs from the animated series? Oh, and then he signs it Casey. So excuse me. His name is Casey.
Well, I did this over on our Twitter channel. I was going to say YouTube channel, but no, over on our Twitter account about a month ago or so. I just was like really into listening to the soundtrack again. I'm like, I'm going to make a top 5. So I made my top 5, put it out there on as a thread on Twitter. With like a little info about each one and why I liked them. So I had this ready to go. So I can kick it off. Going from 3 to 1, number 3, Rocket Fuel. Love that moment of them, pumping up. It's such a feel good jam, and seeing that training scene and seeing them all use their different powers. That's such a feel good moment. 2, Make Way for the King, because it's such a badass moment. The way it comes back both times, the double meaning that it has. It's such a cool moment and a great use of music. And then one that I don't think is probably anybody's top 3. I love the song Many Mistakes. I love the way that is used in that scene.
It is.
Is that the one where Amber and him at college?
Yep. And then that was
going to be one of my top 3.
Dude, it is so good. It's the one that like hits you most like any other HBO drama or something like that, where the music really hits, or even like a CW drama, like any of those ones where it's like, oh, this music is like perfect for this moment. And just the way it ends with saying like, you believed in the good, but I fucked up, and then the door shuts, and it's Omni-Man, it's Nolan, Debbie, and then she like reveals to him that she knows. A huge shift from the comics, and it's this crazy moment where she like throws the bottle at him, and she like walks upstairs, and it's like he punches the wall. It's like, oh god, such a gut punch for that that musical cue at the end of that episode. Yeah, those are my top 3.
I'll go next because I share 2 of yours. So the is it Return of the King? Is that what it is?
Make Way for the King.
Make way for the king. Yeah. So that one was so awesome. I remember we like talked about that on Twitter, and the artist actually like liked it or said something about it. And then I'm such a huge fan of Cage the Elephant. So like that first, and I feel like that's like one of the first songs, like when you hear a band that you love in a show like Invincible that you love, like that just hits so hard. And then obviously that one that you were just talking about with Amber and stuff like that. So those would be my top 3.
I'm just going to sneak in because right there, it's like you guys already mentioned all my top 3. It is Rocket Fuel, it's Make Way for the King, and then my number 1 is Broken Boy. It's such and Bill, like you said, we've been a fan of Cage the Elephant before that, and to have Cage the Elephant, a band that we already like, in such a pivotal moment, like a great moment, like he's in the costume, he's flying around, it's such a great scene. I will play that just to like get in a good mood, like in my car or something. It's just so good. Yeah, those are my top 3 for sure.
I'm gonna have a boring answer because I have similar ones to you guys. That it's Rocket Fuel and Make Way for the King. I don't know how I would rank them necessarily because I feel like it changes anytime I listen to the soundtrack. But Rocket Fuel and Make Way for the King. It's impossible for me to put on Rocket Fuel and not do the ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Like it's impossible for me to not sing along with that and then just instantly be in a great mood. And Make Way for the King, same thing. I'll throw out Tom Tom also, the Flaxen song for whenever they show up, just because I remember watching that episode the first time and not being sure if it was like a needle drop they were doing or if that was just the sound the Flaxens were making. Because it's like a very simple beat with just this like bass note playing at the beginning of it. And the way they kept bringing it back whenever they would come back was awesome. It was so cool. I love that song.
I gotta do a shout out too to when Rexplode was on the roof with Eve and the fireworks were going. That song, I don't have it in front of me, but that song is awesome too.
No, that's not the K-Flay song, but the K-Flay song is also really good with Adam Eve later, and then the Lighthouse and the Whaler or whatever it is. At the end, we are infinite. Yeah, no,
just all of them.
So good.
All of them.
Yeah, but those are our tops. The ones that
we didn't even talk about Run the Jewels, which all of their songs for the Molly.
Well, that's the problem is that incredible. Run the Jewels. It's no, you're right. There is that one. No, they're all good, and the way they work so seamlessly as a pairing with the Maulers is just great.
Just in general, season 1 has one of the best soundtracks for a show that I can remember. Like,
So let's move into our main topic. Our main topic is Robert Kirkman has a new comic book out, which, like we said on Twitter, like this is a rare occasion, right? Void Rivals comes out. It's a shared universe comic. We didn't know anything about it, about what the shared universe was. So we'll start with, we came out, obviously we read it. So what were your guys' first impression? Wyatt, what was your first impression after reading it?
I have been on such a journey with this comic and how excited I have been. Like that's the only way I can describe it. Like when it was first announced, like I was blowing up our text thread because I was so excited. I was so like freaking out about just Lorenzo and Kirkman are working together again. It's a sci-fi thing where they're orbiting around a black hole. I was just in from day one with this being announced. And then they started teasing more and more about the shared universe stuff. So of course we're speculating back and forth, wondering what it could be.
We got the whiteboard and the corkboard with all the string.
We were doing all that. And then as it got closer, you know, I think we started to circle around the idea of Transformers. There's been a lot of Transformer stuff going on. Fortnite crossover, all of that stuff just felt like this might be what it is. And so then my excitement kind of dipped just because I've never been a Transformers fan. Like that wasn't something that I watched as a kid. I don't really have any nostalgia tied to Transformers. So I was like, is this going to be for me then? Am I going to enjoy this? Or is it going to be just, is the kind of premise of this just secretly getting you into, now it's a Transformers comic? So I was worried about that, and my excitement kind of dipped a little bit, but I was obviously still, looking forward to it coming out and reading it. And then even reading the issue the first time, I started to worry a little bit of like, because I had that idea that it's going to be part of a different universe, I was like, every time a new name was mentioned or a new species, I was like asking myself, is this an established character from that universe already? And I just don't know the reference, and I should be like freaking out if I was a fan of this universe. So I was having a little bit of those feelings, and it was actually not until kind of reading more of the interviews that Kirkman has done since then, which I'm sure I think we're talking about a little bit later, that I realized that even though it is tied to Transformers and it's in that universe, that it is still kind of what I was excited for at the beginning, that it is a original IP, sci-fi story that he and Lorenzo are telling that happens to be in their corner of this universe. That's not even, especially at this beginning point, not really connected in any integral way at all. Like they don't even recognize the Transformer that they come across, right? So and the fact that he's kind of in interviews said that they're going to be approaching these universes kind of from the ground up, and that it seems like if you don't have any knowledge of the previous stories that have been told and previous characters, that they'll be introduced in a way that, like, if you're a new reader, you can still go along for the ride, especially as they're presented in Void Rivals. I'm sure like the other books that take place in the universe might be a little different, but once I kind of understood finally what the book is and how it is still this kind of original story that Kirkman is telling with Lorenzo, my excitement shot back up, and I loved it and really enjoyed it. And I think part of my excitement the whole time has just been that it looks gorgeous. Like it's so the aesthetic of the characters and the design of everything. I love the way that it has sort of like a retro sci-fi feel to it, with the main character wearing his like bomber jacket over his spacesuit and all of that. I love that. Like it's such a cool looking book. And I like reading the issue and getting through, seeing that the last page was not just like a teaser for the shared universe, but really a teaser about the story was super, super exciting.
Yeah, we joked about it. Oh yeah, it could just end on the Transformers logo and that's the end, or it ends on Optimus. And that's the whole point of this issue, but that wasn't the case.
Exactly. Yeah.
Bill?
Yeah, I shared pretty much all of Wyatt's like all of your ebbs and flows of like excitement and then kind of dipping back down. And even when it came out on Wednesday, I was like real nervous because I wanted to just love it for what it was. And honestly, guys, from the first page, it had me. Like I don't think that there's been that much levity in a Kirkman book from the get. Like with the hand and then it being like, oh no, and then continuing to drag him.
The one panel when he's just face down with the hand pulling him.
So
it's fantastic.
It's what's his name? Handroid, right?
Yes, Handroid.
Right?
And can we pause and talk about that for a second? That took me back to reading Rexplode for the first time, or Duplicate. Like Android as a name just feels so like
Kirkman.
Vintage Kirkman.
Kirkman.
Sure. And I so at that point I was like, all right, I'm kind of sold regardless of what's going on here and what it's gonna be. And we all knew what it was gonna be. Just from like
we speculated.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't surprise anything anymore. It sucks. Like
so
some people literally a friend of ours read it not knowing. Like it happened.
True.
It happened. We're just close to it. That's the thing. We're close to
it.
And
I love Lorenzo. Obviously it has Kirkman's spin on it, and I don't really care about Transformers at all. And I care even, and this might get us some flack, I don't know, but I care even less about G.I. Joe. So the fact that like Kirkman is actually making, and Lorenzo are making this thing stand by itself within the universe, I love it. I think that it's great. I think I'm really excited for Skybound. I think that it's a fucking fantastic like thing that they're starting here, and this like whole universe that they're building and bringing in. Did I see that Darren Warren Johnson?
That's literally the last page. You turn
Daniel
it.
Warren Johnson.
Daniel Warren. Yeah.
Or yeah.
Yeah.
That's. Am I remembering who that is correctly?
It should be. I mean,
you tell us.
Who is he? What has he done?
That's
Murder Falcon. He
Okay,
did.
okay.
He did the
Extremity.
his
Beta Ray
what's
Bill.
Right.
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, Dead Earth, or
Dead Earth. So
Yeah.
Bill, as a Batman fan, you got to read Wonder Woman, Dead Earth.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
So I thought
Very,
it was
very
great. I thought that I'm really excited to see what the whole, like, I loved all the little bits of lore that they, like, oh, you can't take your helmet off in front of me. Oh, I can't even hear that Handroid speak. Like, it's sacrilegious to have you allow me to hear it. Like, I loved all of that stuff and all those little seeds. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Ryan?
Again, similar path that you guys took with the speculation. We all kind of assumed and were prepared for it to be a Transformers thing. So like Wyatt, I'm reading this thing and like, I feel like I was half reading it. I feel like I was like I would finish a page and be like, what did I just read? Like I'd have to kind of, because I'm like looking for stuff. I'm looking for, is this it? Is this it? Do I know who these are? Is this the big reveal? Like, is that alien race a race in Transformers? Like, so I don't feel like I fully enjoyed it enough the first time I read it because it was just too in my head. But I will say what Bill shouted out with those first few pages. I think of the four of us, I think I'm the only one that read the preview, and I normally do not like
also.
reading
Yeah.
previews. You did also.
Yeah.
So I read those few pages, Bill, those first few 3 pages or so. So I was like, I love this. Like the art is amazing. The humor is amazing. I love the Handroid thing. I love him dragging him. I saw all that already. So I was like, I'm in this world. I'm in with the humor. I'm in with the art. So I was looking for that other thing and then waiting for that, to happen. And then after I finish it, okay, so there's the moment where you see the Transformer. And like, I think you guys, I didn't really grow up with Transformers. My brother did. So I was always adjacent, I knew he liked him, but I was too little for him. But then Beast Wars was my thing because I was the right age for Beast Wars.
Fucking Beast Wars, bro.
And so I never had that attachment to the original Transformers. And then, of course, the Michael Bay movies and all that kind of stuff kind of soured him. So I didn't have much attachment to it. It was cool seeing that show up, and then it just leaves. And then it's the issue and the story plays out, and it was like, oh, okay, this is the story. And then, like you're saying, Wyatt, the interview is talking about what this means for the rest, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But overall, really impressed, of course, with the artwork. I thought they all killed it. I think the introduction is, a little, it's not simple, but it is. It's, two opposing races or forces crash land and they square off. They have to work together. It's we've seen that kind of thing before, but it's the premise is that like, this is just the introduction. This isn't the whole story. It's not like this was all of it. That's just the meat. And then,
Have you guys ever seen the movie Enemy Mine?
that's what this is. Yeah, that's what I was
Have
saying.
you seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I know it.
It's so fucking good, man.
Yeah.
It's an 80s sci-fi movie with Dennis Quaid.
Yeah.
And where he same exact fucking premise. Wow. But I love it. I love that dynamic. I love like Bill. I hope they're stuck on that planet for a lot longer, or that asteroid, whatever it is.
Yeah. TJ, what was your what's your take on it? Just like
yeah, so again, same thing where we were kind of speculating on what it might be. We saw a lot of theories online, and it was funny because like one thing we didn't mention was the Friday before the issue dropped, Bill, you went and saw the new Transformers movie, and you texted us, and you were like, you guys should go see it. So Saturday, Ryan and I went and saw it.
Do we want to put a spoiler warning for the new Transformers movie?
No.
Okay.
But we saw the ending, because I'm not going to spoil it.
Okay.
And Ryan and I both looked at each other like, could this be like related to the
part of the fear, I would say,
the Void Rivals?
Is that this was going to be tied into the movies.
Yeah.
Right.
We still don't know. But I think there are certain things that make it seem like it may be tied into the movies as well. So when after we saw that, Ryan and I were like, and Bill, all four of us were like, is it related, or is it not related?
Mhm.
So going into Void Rivals, and it was very difficult to avoid it online, but I think ultimately we did. But we very high speculation that it was going to be related to at least Transformers. So yeah, but going through, obviously, like, we talk at length about how much we love Lorenzo de Felici, and not just Oblivion Song, but Chroma, and we did Chroma Cast, we did a Oblivion Song podcast. So we've all we do is rave about his art, and then seeing it again here and back with Robert Kirkman was incredible. The dialogue, like, Kirkman does dialogue so well, and it was just the way they talk back and forth to each other. You can't put a finger on why it feels like Kirkman,
Mhm.
but it just does. So going through it, I loved it. I loved how, like, it was funny, and how you get you see the Transformer, and like you guys said, then he goes away, and then the story just continues. Like you guys, I've never really had anything against Transformers. Like, I was never super into it, but I loved the first Transformers movie. I didn't care for the rest of the Transformers movies, the Michael Bay ones, anyways. But I've never, I will say, different for GI Joe. I have never been into GI Joe. I've never watched anything GI Joe. Literally nothing. I watched, like, the movie, which was okay. So, but seeing, like, the Daniel Warren Johnson cover,
Yeah.
and knowing that Kirkman is writing Void Rivals with Lorenzo de Felici, I am honestly way more interested than I thought I was going to be. Like,
Mhm.
if it is
Yeah.
Transformers and GI Joe, I'm probably not going to really be into it. I am, though. Like, I'm actually very interested in going forward. I'm definitely going to read Transformers with Daniel Warren Johnson. I'm going to continue to read Void Rivals with Kirkman and Lorenzo. Duke #1 and Cobra
Tom
Commander
Riley,
#1
dude.
with Tom Riley, which is awesome. And also Joshua Williamson, who
Yeah,
did, like, Brightburn,
there's a bunch of DC stuff too, right?
or Birthright, I think he did.
Mm.
Nail Biter, things like that. So I don't know if I'll read those. I'll probably read the first issues and give them a shot.
Yeah.
But definitely Transformers, definitely Void Rivals. I'm all in on those. So that's kind of where I'm sitting.
A big thing about this too is, like, it's safe to say Robert Kirkman is one of our favorite writers, if not our favorite
Mhm.
writer. And this is, one of our favorite writers getting to play in the toy box of toys that he has grown up loving. Like, this
Yeah.
He's
is
always
like,
been very vocal about how
oh
much
yeah,
he loves
he's been talking about
Transformers.
Transformers
Mhm.
forever. So, like,
Yeah.
and a real fan forever. And that's something that he says in the back of this and everything like that. Like, getting to see, like, that level of, like, opportunity, like, is going to be so exciting to see what he does with it. It's like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
you guys love Invincible, make a podcast, talk about it, do shows, goof off. Like, he's going to
Yeah.
do, he's got the toy box to play with whatever he wants. And so what does this mean? What does this mean for the future? Like, where does this story take place? The biggest question that I had at the end of this was like, and I guess even at the beginning, if we were assuming it was Transformers, was, is this a new universe? Is this tied to the movies? Is it tied? Do I have to know Transformers? Like, is this a reboot in a sense? Like, where does this fit in? And throughout all the interviews and stuff like that, what have you guys gathered? Because I think it's entirely standalone universe, right? Except for
That's
one thing.
That's what I'm gathering, is that it seems like, at least in the interview, I should pull up that interview and look at exactly what the quote was, but he talks about how, like, they're going to introduce these characters from the ground up, that, like, even the GI Joes are not going to be called GI Joes when you first meet them, that you're going to see, like, the formation of that, and it's almost like in response to the fact that Transformers exist in this world. So it definitely seems like it is like a rebooted universe from what I can tell.
I
But yeah,
actually,
like you mentioned, there's a GI Joe run, right? That is
yeah, that's at
still,
300, which is going to
yeah,
continue, which I
yeah, under
didn't
Skybound.
find anything with the same writer and arts or whatever, and that's incredible that they're
Yeah,
allowed to, they're letting them continue that series. But I think
yeah,
that means that one is going to be out of canon. But
I
that's just
assume
a
so.
I'll
that's
just
just a
I'll
guess.
just I'll just read from one of the interviews.
Which one do you have? Because I have one that brings this up.
The AIPT one.
AIPT. Yep, that's the one.
Yeah. So the question is just to be clear: are the GI Joe and Transformers interacting in the universe at all? And Kirkman says, "Oh yeah, definitely, in some really cool and exciting ways. We're really going to do this in a different way than things have been done before. I know these characters have interacted a lot in the past, but we're trying to do an organic rollout where the existence of Transformers on Earth kind of leads to the formation of GI Joe in some interesting ways, and kind of tying them together, and hopefully in a new and startling way that is exciting, long time, that excites longtime fans and brings in new time fans."
Yeah, so that's in regards to GI Joe and Transformers crossing over. So there will be crossover from those comics. The other one,
but also it says that like the GI Joe are not formed yet, and they're going to give them like the origin story in this, which I think is cool.
So earlier in the AIPT one, they talk about, and I think this one also brings it up. He says, "I thought doing a ground zero, like square one, like a retelling of the origins of these characters, the Energon universe, is very much like a new beginning for these characters. It's kind of like new origins. It's retelling of familiar origins in a lot of ways. It's akin to kind of like the Ultimate Universe from Marvel. So all of these characters will be familiar, but there will be some kind of new angles to them. We wanted to give audiences a new starting point for these characters, a big reboot of these franchises in comic book form. The Energon universe is really a cool exploration that I'm overseeing with Daniel Warren Johnson and Josh Williamson. There's also going to be some other stuff going on as far as the Void Rivals aspect of it. But yeah, that's so yes, that That's
I have a question.
Right?
I have a question that it confuses me with like how time when these things take place are going to like. So what's the Transformers name?
Jetfire.
Jetfire.
Yeah.
So he says, "My word, I'm detecting significant microscopic fungal growth in an atmosphere almost devoid of moisture. And what is that? Wind erosion? But that would mean I've been stranded here for millions of..."
Yeah, I have to get home. That's awesome. That was really cool.
Does that mean that Void Rivals potentially takes place in the future, and like GI Joe is going to, or are Transformers just that old? Like they've been around for millions and millions of years.
Like
I think it could go.
Am I just looking into it too far?
I would assume that it's that just Transformers can live a very long time since they're machines, because I doubt that the GI Joe stuff will be on a like sci-fi Earth. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it'll probably be a more modern day Earth, I would assume, just based on what GI Joe has been in the past. But it could be that. It could be either one.
It could be different time periods too. Like Void Rivals could be taking place. Like Void Rivals could be past GI Joes or something crazy like that. You know what I mean? I think that they could play with. Or I'm just making up crazy shit. I don't know.
So Wyatt, you and I both watched the Transformers the movie from 1986 for the first time last night. TJ and Bill, you guys haven't seen this yet, have you?
Never ever.
Okay.
Have I ever?
Yeah.
Just a quick interstitial, just quick thoughts. What did you think of it?
So like I watched it because Kirkman mentions it right in the letters at the end, and how that like changed him. So I was like, I'm on vacation right now. I've got nothing better to do. Let's throw on a 80s cartoon that I've never seen. I'll have a good time. I had a great time watching it. Am I going to say it's like this great movie? I don't know that I would say that. It feels a little more like a bunch of music videos, because the music is just nonstop, whether that is really great, like 80s, like rock needle drops, or just like the coolest like synth score that I've ever heard. Like, as somebody who makes synth covers of music, I feel like I've done a disservice to myself not watching this at some point in my childhood already, because like legitimately the soundtrack I thought was fantastic, and I was having a great time watching it just for that. Like I told Nicole after I watched it, I was like, I don't know that I'm going to watch this movie again and sit down, but if I were ever trying to throw like an 80s themed party, I would put this on every screen at
in
full
the background,
volume, because it's just like, it just feels like it's dripping 80s and that vibe. And so like I can put myself in the shoes of a kid that was watching Transformers on TV and then got to see this movie and how it would blow your mind. Like,
Absolutely.
there are some cool story moments. It's so much and so many things happening that it wasn't like I wasn't locked in on the characters and having like emotional moments watching it, but I can definitely see what it would have been like being a kid watching that in 86.
Yeah.
And I had a great time watching it just for the kind of
Yeah.
80s aesthetic of it.
Yeah, I echo a lot of that. And Bill and TJ, we should do a night where you guys come over and watch it.
I would do
it's
it.
I would
short
watch
too.
it,
It's like an hour and 20 minutes or something. And it's
Yeah.
it is something that I feel like you should see.
Is it really called The Transformers the movie?
Yes.
No, it's
Yeah.
not.
Yes.
So
Well,
that's
because it's
why-
called the Transformers. Like it's the Transformers. The movie.
Yeah.
The movie.
Yeah. That's why you'll be
Yeah.
since we're in the main topic,
Yeah.
you saw the little intro that we played going into this. That's why I called it Void Rivals the podcast, because like
Spaceballs
it's
the
very
movie.
much that 80s style. It's
I have such a hard time. Go ahead, Ryan.
Well,
I'll let you go.
what I was going to say was kind of connecting it to what we were saying was one thing I didn't know, and I actually listened to the kind of funny in review for the 80s Transformers. One thing I didn't know that made me appreciate it way more was the Transformers the movie takes place between seasons. I'm pretty sure it's 2 and 3. It's either 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, but I'm pretty sure it's between seasons 2 and 3. Okay, now spoilers if you care, but you guys know what happens in that movie, right? Like the big thing that happens.
Yeah, doesn't Optimus die? Or something like that. Yeah.
They killed Optimus in the movie that takes place between seasons 2 and 3. That's how you know what happened. So season 3 starts and it's all new people because the Transformers the movie takes place 60 years later after season 2.
Yeah.
So the little boy in the Transformers cartoon is now an adult that has his own kid. All the other the robots have like their own like civilization on Earth. Like they throw this into the future and like keep telling the story, and like now it's all in space, and now it's like they completely shifted what this show was and used the movie to tell that. And they're like, yep, we're gonna kill all your favorite characters, introduce a bunch of new ones.
It would be like if before the next season of Invincible came out, they just put an Invincible movie out, and Mark's got a kid already, and he's out living in space doing a bunch of other adventures
in the next season.
Crazy.
Yeah. So the way they did it, and the music, the voice cast, like it's impressive for what it is, and it's dated. It is definitely dated, but it is something that people should definitely check out. I mean,
it's a fun time.
It was a fun time, but yeah.
I just don't understand the obsession over Transformers, like from a story standpoint. Like I liked Beast Wars and Beast Machines. I watched all of those, and I was a kid and I loved the toys, and I kind of liked the story how they like were stuck on. It was an ancient Earth, right? That they were stranded on. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, I think so.
They landed on Earth and it was ancient, and they had to stay in their beast forms because if they came out,
even though
the Energon was so overwhelming.
I think it ended up being a future Earth. They ended
up
up finding out that it was actually the future. Like there's a bunch of time traveling stuff.
You did it. You blew it up.
But that's the point I'm making. Like the fact that he comes out of the Jetfighter comes out of this saying it's been a million years feels very Transformers.
Yeah.
You know, like everything that we're saying now is all like timey-wimey, like crazy, space future, like all that kind of stuff. I'm sure that, that's part of it. But I'm really, really curious to see how, where Daniel Warren Johnson's comic comes into it, where this story takes place, what the G.I. Joe stuff involved is, because like TJ, I'm much less interested in G.I. Joe than I am Transformers. But I have faith. I trust that, they know what they're doing, and they're going to have a lot of fun telling these stories. So we'll see.
And so Void Rivals.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go.
Void Rivals. You got Derek, you got Solila, you have the Agorians and the Zertonians. Are the Agorians and the Zertonians a new thing? Is that a Kirkman thing, or is that something? Have you guys looked this up?
As far as I know, this is entirely new. This is entirely Kirkman. This is something brand new.
Yeah,
love that.
Yes, that was my concern too. And I did try to Google them, and anything I found, I didn't find anything Transformers related to those races or like these characters. And that was even like one of the things that got me excited was in one of the interviews, Kirkman said that like he likes to imagine that Void Rivals is like a third brand that Hasbro was making an animated series and action figures of alongside G.I. Joe and Transformers in the 80s. Like that this is just another one that was existing. And that even like that gets me even more excited of like, tell me this like retro sci-fi 80s type of story that could have been an 80s cartoon, but is now this comic. Like
the thing I love about that too is that we still, even though it's like based in this universe, we still get an all new, completely original story from Kirkman. Why are the Agorians and the Zertonians rivals? Like, why are they fighting? And why, like, what's the backstory for one and what's the backstory for the other? And it's like all the civilizations and like how they came to be and like that's all story that we don't know, and you can't just like Google it. You know what I mean? You can't just like find the backstory of or like find an old episode of G.I. Joe and then answer that. Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking forward to the things that no one knows.
I wonder if
the Kirkman stuff.
I wonder if Void Rivals is the thing that takes place in the future. Transformers takes place in the present, and you see what happens that leads to them.
That's what I was saying.
Joe
like,
takes place in the past, and at some point, the G.I. Joe story catches up to the present, and they intersect with the Transformers. And at some point, the Transformers that are living in the present survive long enough to interact with the Void Rivals characters.
And then Angstrom Levy just pops in.
Like the Handroid is a Transformer, pretty much. You know what I mean? Like millions of years in the future.
It's the evolution of that, yes.
And they've evolved into whatever these races are. One is like Decepticons, and one is like, you know what I mean? And they have like Gem in there. That's like maybe they're like a
part of the Energon or whatever.
Yeah, they're like part machine, part organic kind of thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe that is. We'll see. But no, I'm excited. I think it's fun. We're not going to see anything else till, I mean, we got more Void Rivals, of course, but the Transformers comics October.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be awesome. Just anything with Daniel Warren Johnson.
And
oh my gosh.
As of recording today, I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter, Skybound posted some preview pages for issue 2 of Void Rivals.
I didn't read them, but I'm
going to read them.
I just by scrolling, I saw where they take place. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't much of a spoiler. It's not, it's
cool.
Yeah.
Also on Twitter, did you guys see that Lorenzo is doing an Ask Anything?
An AMA.
Mm-hmm. AMA, yeah. So on June 21st, he'll be doing one.
Will that be over by the time this episode is live?
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yes, it will be.
So
that hasn't happened. But I'm sure that AMA is still going to live somewhere, whether it's in text or in video form. Yeah. So I'm sure you can go check that out.
And we didn't say this at the top of the show, but we'll say it now. Anything can change, but we do plan on doing something with Lorenzo soon. So again, hit that subscribe button on YouTube because we're going to be releasing something soon with him. That's the plan anyways. And we'll keep you updated. Follow us on Twitter and we'll keep you updated there as well. So really can't wait for that. Yep. Really can't wait for that and talk to Lorenzo about not only Void Rivals but like the ending of Chroma too, which we got to follow up on. If you haven't read Chroma, definitely read that because it was incredible. It was written by him and the art by him. It was amazing. But yeah, so we have some emails, some more emails to go through specifically related to listeners who read Void Rivals. Bill, you have one from our friend
Scotty Cameron. Reboot feedback. Hey guys, great show. I discovered your show when looking for good Invincible podcasts. I've been reading the comic and like it. The comic was pretty sad and touching. It is a nice send-off to Omni-Man and shows how far he came since the beginning and originally being a villain. I hope to see that in the show. I think specifically he's talking about last issue where Wyatt talked about that very
we didn't say at the top of the show, and I don't think we have so far, but we do talk spoilers for the comics throughout the entire Invincible run on this show. So abort now if you haven't read the comics.
Yep.
Good point.
I like the idea of Omni-Man being a DLC character in Mortal Kombat because he fits right in and he would be the second Image character in Mortal Kombat. Spawn was the first one, right?
I think so.
Yeah, Spawn was in Mortal Kombat.
Yes, he was. He was in 11.
Yeah. Let's see here. I would like to have him. Let me see here. I would like for him to have the Superman Joker heart rip punch from Injustice to be one of his fatalities. Also, I like the Superman design to be one of his alternate costumes.
Oh, just make Nolan Superman?
It's spelled Supra.
Supra.
Yeah, I
Superman.
think
Superman.
I want to say that's a Ryan Ottley sketch where he kind of faked it.
Oh,
It's kind of a mashup of
okay.
the two.
That would be funny.
We're not
Is
even
it an
fans.
Ottley sketch or is it a
wanna
Cory
say-
Walker?
I don't remember. Honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
I could just be wrong
All right.
entirely.
Lastly, since this is a podcast about Robert Kirkman comics, I just wanted to say I'm looking forward to Void Rivals as a huge G.I. Joe and Transformers fan. I'm excited to see what Kirkman does with those franchises, especially since Invincible is quickly becoming one of my all-time favorite comics. Sincerely, Scotty.
Thanks, Scotty. I gotta say, I mean, I know we've all kind of said we are coming at this as people who did not grow up as fans of either property.
Yeah.
I am really, really excited for people who are fans of G.I. Joe and Transformers and like into
man.
this. Like, this has got to be like, really, really great. Like, that's so cool. So I'm really happy for everybody else that like grew up.
And
loving
honestly, the fact that we got a couple of emails from people who are excited and who were fans of Transformers or G.I. Joe, like that at least, and the fact that Kirkman's a fan of it, obviously, but that kind of reassures me that like I'm ready to be sold on those properties. You know what I mean? And the fact that Kirkman and this team is getting to tell these stories from the ground up, I feel like I could very easily be convinced to care about these characters in these franchises. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I think it says a lot about Kirkman too. Like before, even if you think about genres like Kung Fu, I never thought I would be reading a Kung Fu comic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Kirkman's spin on it, you're like, okay, I guess I like fucking Kung Fu shit now, you know? So hopefully I can join you as a G.I. Joe and Transformer fan now that Kirkman has like kind of has this umbrella
building this
over
universe.
the franchise.
Yeah, for sure. I have one from Owen Saylor. He says, "Hello, members of the Invincible podcast, and also welcome new member Wyatt Layne. I'm going to keep this email simple and straightforward. First off, I loved Void Rivals. Seeing Robert Kirkman and Lorenzo de Felici team up again for a brand new book alone had me excited. But that reveal with Jetfire, it was mind-blowing. But that brings me to my questions. Number one, how long in advance have you guys known the twist of issue 1 since you have spoken with both Robert and Lorenzo before, and I assume you're close? So we'll answer that one first. I will say that we are like best friends with Robert Kirkman, like best friends. We're not.
No. Oh, and I think
I'd say we're friends though.
Yeah.
But we are not close enough to that he told us, and I'm kind of glad.
Yeah.
Like,
we haven't spoken with Kirkman in a long
did
time.
not old. Yeah, it's been a little while. But yeah, we honest to God, we did not know. He did not tell us. But yeah.
Yeah. So and we just didn't know. We predicted, being this close to it, we had seen a while ago that the rights for the comics were up, and there were articles written theorizing, oh, maybe it's this and stuff. So we kind of put those things together, and we, Kirkman has said in the past that he'd always loved to write a Transformers comic, and so it's one of those things where it's like, as soon as they start saying, oh, it's a known IP, like that, it's a known universe, like it's all right, well, you kind of put those.
There's
things
only
together.
so many it could be. Yeah,
exactly. And so we kind of like, being as close as we are, we were looking for the answer in a way, which it probably would have been cool if we hadn't, but that's just what we do. That's just how close we are to it. So we didn't know, but we assumed.
Question number 2: which of the new books of the Energon universe are you most looking forward to reading? Much love, Owen Saylor. I'll say that for me, and I would assume you guys probably agree, but for me, it's Void Rivals number 1, Daniel Warren Johnson Transformers number 2, and then the other two, like, we'll see. I'm gonna give him a shot.
Well, there's only one that is. Oh no, there is 2. Yeah.
There's Cobra Commander, right. And then there's Duke.
I would have little to no interest in those. I would give them a shot just because they're part of the universe, and I want to see what story Robert Kirkman's telling here. Except for the fact that Tom Riley's doing Duke, and I really love Tom Riley's art. So that is the thing that puts me over the edge to being very excited for that one.
I mean, I would say that it's like like Void Rivals, you know what I mean? Just because it's a new thing. You know, it
It's
doesn't really
Kirkman.
have any like, preconceived things that we can kind of go off of. But I like the more we're talking about it, I'd say that I'm most interested in Transformers because I really do want to be won over by it.
Yeah.
I want to see what all the love is for it, because if there's that much, if so many people are like, oh my fucking god, I love Transformers so much, then it's got to be something. And I just I'm pretty excited to give that a shot, and I'm not
Yeah.
really excited at all about GI Joe. So
Wyatt?
Yeah, I would say pretty much the same. Obviously, Void Rivals is the most exciting. Transformers being next, just because Daniel Warren Johnson. But even with the GI Joe stuff, I kind of am in the same boat where I feel less interested in that even than Transformers. But I also I feel again like it's just that I've never had any story in that universe or with those characters that made me, excited. I was thinking about this earlier and thinking about how I used to feel about Captain America, and how like before I started reading comics as an adult, really, I remember picking up Civil War and being like, oh, it's a story with Iron Man and Captain America, like, against each other. And this was, I think, right after the Iron Man movie had came out, when I first like was really getting into comics as an adult, and thinking to myself like, well, there's no way I'm going to be like siding with Captain America on this issue, because he's like Captain America. You know what I mean? Like, I think I had the same sort of mental image of that character as I do right now with GI Joes, where it's just like Boy Scout military type of IP. And because the stories that were told with that character were interesting, and it was done in a way that was not what I was expecting and was creative, I started to, that became one of my favorite characters in the MCU, and then in even other comics that I've read too. So I'm hopeful that whatever the stories are that are going to be part of this universe show me why my like preconceptions about GI Joes are very surface level, and not really seeing what all of the people who care about that IP are excited about.
right.
Something else that's really cool. Go ahead, TJ.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say something else that's really cool is that like this isn't like, hey, here's a new Spider-Man #1. Here's a relaunch of Spider-Man. Like this is a IP that is ripe for a retelling and a modernization, apart from, all right, so Michael Bay, dug these into the ground, the new Fall of the Beast, Rise of the Beasts, or whatever had just come out, and it's doing how it's doing, and like GI Joe has kind of had its shot. Like nobody's really like, sick of these titles, but they're just kind of like, all right, they're. I think it's time.
You're there.
It's time.
Yeah.
And so that's a great opportunity, because I don't think you're going to get a lot of people that are like, oh, this isn't it, or I'm so sick of seeing how many times we got to see Batman's parents die, or like, this is a really good time to like retell these stories. And like if you tell like, or shake up their origin a little bit, then it's like, it's time. It's okay to tell a different story. And I love how he calls it kind of like the ultimate universe types telling. So.
Yeah, I'll say too.
I have a prediction really quick to throw out there that I want to get your guys' takes on as well, because how many Transformers movies have there been now at this point, or was this the 7th one?
I think there was 7.
Assuming Void Rivals is successful, which it seems like it's going to be. It seems like they sold out of the first issue. Do you think we see Derek and Celila in live action before we see Mark Grayson in live action?
Probably.
Only
my old, and I'm only saying that because you compared it to the Invincible movie, and that's the only reason why.
Yeah.
I say no.
I had that thought where I was like, I bet we're going to see these characters in like a Transformers movie in a couple of years or something like that, just because Kirkman stuff is typically very successful.
What I'm hoping is that, not hoping, but I don't think any of the Energon universe is going live action to theaters or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's a separate universe and they don't want to get it twisted up with those. But what I am hoping is the Energon universe goes to animated.
Yep.
That would
and
be
I think
cool.
it will. I think that'd be really
and
cool.
They like get awesome 80s ballads and stuff like that to play during it. And they like really, but with like modern storytelling and like the that'd be really cool.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
So yeah. Sorry.
I was just going back to what to like the Transformers comic too, and just going off of our love for Daniel Warren Johnson is he had Murder Falcon, he had Extremity, which were great, and those were his own stories, which were incredible. But no one's ever really been interested in Beta Ray Bill, and I, as a DC fan, have never really been interested in Wonder Woman. But reading those, like,
did you
he
finish
put
Beta
his
Ray Bill?
own, yeah, he
so
put
good.
his own spin on those characters and those like stories, and it is very much his own, like, very unique storytelling. And to see what he's going to do with the Transformers, like, I'm
It's
so
also
excited for
interesting
that.
that like in one of the articles or interviews or whatever it was, that they're saying it's like Robert Kirkman and Daniel Warren Johnson. I think they're working both
Together,
very much in like the
awesome.
writing of this too. It seems like it's a
Nice.
very teamwork and type thing, which is really great.
Very, very cool.
So yeah, we'll see.
All right,
one more
that
month.
is Void Rivals. We're going to be talking about it. We're going to continue to talk about it in the future.
It might
in
become
some
more
capacity.
of a segment on the show,
Yep,
but we'll
exactly.
see.
Yeah.
But again, we'll see what happens. We can release whatever we want.
Yeah, we're do whatever we want.
Whatever we want.
Let's go into our next segment, which is the issue spotlight. So we don't know, for those who missed the last episode, we at the end of every episode, we're gonna start doing, or at the end of every main episode, I should say, we're gonna start doing a review of a single issue. Three of us don't know what that issue is, and one of us is going to bring that issue up for discussion and then kind of go over it and highlight the key moments, and then we're just going to discuss.
Yeah.
So this week is Ryan's turn.
It's
So
me.
Ryan, take it away.
Oh my
We do not know
gosh.
what issue.
That's
you
right.
chose.
This is kind of fun. This is cool. Like a little
This is exciting.
little book club show and tell type thing. So yeah, we man, thinking about one issue to do, it's so hard to be like, all right, do not pick any of your favorite issues, because I didn't want to just pick like one of the like 5 issues that I talk about all the time on this show. TJ, you
Yeah.
can name exactly which 5 issues I would probably want to talk about, and it would be so easy, and it'd be like, here we go, and then we move on. I didn't want to do that, so I immediately shut out and said, I'm not doing any of those. I wanted it to be, because the whole point of this segment is I wanted to talk about these issues that we don't get to spend time on. So that was
Sure.
my angle. So Conquest. But hear me out. Hear me out.
Are you gonna go with second appearance? You're gonna go with second appearance, are
One
you?
thing that we never really talk about is the aftermath. We always talk about Conquest. So I wanted to talk about what happens afterwards. So issue 55 of Invincible is actually titled Conquest Epilogue, and it's the final issue of the Conquest arc. It's none of those moments that you're thinking of from Conquest. It's after the fact. So I want to talk a little bit about this one. The cover is awesome callback to issue 8, I believe it was, that Corey Walker did, with the mark at the headstone with the tree behind him on the hill at the graveyard.
This is a cool robot moment
for Rex. You already know. So for Rex's funeral. And so right down to like the branches and everything, Ottley nailed this cover. And that was such a cool homage.
Yeah.
And like, if you were looking at solicitations, you're thinking this is Eve's death, because you saw the bloody hand, you see Mark pissed off. Like, this meant something, and getting this issue and like seeing it coming out, like, it was a big deal. So the bullet points here with this issue opens up with Mark. He's been out for 3 days after being beat up by Conquest. Eve's there at his side. She's made some improvements. She's rebuilt herself and all that kind of stuff. So they get that moment, like he thought he lost her. There's that great moment between the two of them. She talks about how she healed herself. There was these mental blocks and everything. And I'm going to put a pin in that, because we forgot to mention at the beginning, the Invincible Universe Compendium 1 came out. So that was a cool moment in issue 55, where she makes a callback to the tie-in comic that came out right before that about those mental blocks and how she got them, and like learning that is a thing. And so Kirkman kind of like retroactively was like, hey, here's the thing, I'm setting this up. Hopefully you guys are reading this so it makes sense when I do it later on. So that was a really cool thing, because I love tying all those little things in. We get a moment of DA working on the Reaniman, the Invincible Universe Reaniman from Angstrom, the fight that happened with Angstrom. Like, what,
5 issues
5
earlier.
issues, like not even like
60.
6 issues. Yeah, like that just happened, and so he's
Wait, sorry.
issue
You
60.
said
This is 55. No, wait.
65,
This
right?
is 65. I meant.
65?
Sorry,
Okay.
Yeah.
I wrote down the wrong number.
But that's
It is
okay.
definitely
Yeah.
65. But yes,
65.
the Angstrom Invincible alternate universes came in 60. D.A. Sinclair is working on like trying to turn them into Reanimen. We get a moment of that. Then we see Mark checking on Conquest's body because he wanted to make sure he was dead. And there's that moment with Cecil. It's like, oh yeah, he's dead. Oh yeah, he's dead. And then, we get a moment with Mark and Eve in the bedroom. She takes his costume off and says it's folded nicely by the bed, but it's like melting.
Oozing.
Melting,
And
Yeah.
I always
Mhm.
thought that was the end of the issue. Like that was the big cliffhanger. It's not. That's like midway point. So like her powers are on the fritz. Then we get 2 pages. One side is Angstrom Levy talking to the technicians and then being like,
Levy.
Angstrom Levy, thank you, talking to the technicians in one of like the 3 times we ever see them, and them like, all right, we rebuilt your arm. Now it's time for you to do something for us. And then the other side of the other page is Russ Livingston in the sewer with the sequids saying what, Bill?
Soon.
Ooh.
Close. But yes, he is saying essentially like it's almost time. And then you another page or so later, Cecil's talking to the head of Conquest, or like not talking to it, but like looking at Conquest, who's encased in like a million tons of concrete, and being like, oh yeah, he's not going to get out of here. As soon as he wakes up, we're going to talk to him about what their plan is, where they're from, and what's happening, and how to beat them. And then the issue ends with Mark talking to Oliver, being like, Eve's powers are on the fritz. We killed him, but he still took something from us. Sorry, you're right, TJ. I don't know why I skipped over that. I'm trying to follow my notes, and I skipped over entirely one of the biggest scenes. I'm going to come back to the end. But Rex's funeral. So we get to Rex's funeral, and it starts with the robot himself, like the suit, talking about how inspirational he was. He was his friend for the longest time, and that he has decided to take his name, which is something that we called back on. It was like issue like 27 or something like that, way back, probably a little bit later than that. But when in the future
versions,
yes, it was like 40.
Yeah,
it was actually like 42 or something. But anyways, and she calls him Rex. That never made sense until this point. So Rudy takes his name. He's crying in his human form and telling Amanda that this is easier for him. I think we just lost Wyatt for a second.
We lost Wyatt.
But we'll bring him back in a second. But or when he joins back in, I'll add him. Rudy's talking about how he's crying and stuff, and how it's easier for him to transmit this way. And Amanda says she loves him. Then Eve goes up. She begins to talk and can't. So she breaks down, leaves. Mark comes up to her and's like, hey, like, you okay? And she's like, is it weird that like I loved Rex? He meant so much to me. He was my first everything. And again, calling back that issue that like Kirkman set up, that they have a history together. And then Mark just being like, I'm just happy you're alive. But the issue ends with Mark saying that, even though they killed Conquest, he still took something from them. He took Eve's powers, essentially, because her powers were acting up. And it ends with Mark telling Oliver that you were right. If somebody comes to try and, take something from me, I won't hesitate to kill them. So this ends with Mark, like, and then a couple issues later,
this issue.
Dude, a couple issues later, he kills Russ Livingston. This sets him on that path of being a hero is bullshit. Like, this is that moment that like kicks all this off. And it's an issue that we don't talk about that much. I mean, yeah, we talk about Conquest, but like the direct ramifications and how much Robert Kirkman like packed into the epilogue of all those story threads. Like, hey, yeah, that was awesome, right? Well, here's all the things that are coming. So yeah, that
I remember.
is issue 65.
I remember feeling really like at this point you love Mark and Eve together. Like it's the Corey and Topanga, right? Like nothing can. And then the way that Eve reacted to Rex, it like hurt. It hurt. Like I felt jealous when she was saying all this stuff to Mark, like, and by him being the bigger man and saying, like, listen, I'm just happy that you're alive. I'd be like kind of mad, but how would you react? I don't know. I just, I remember feeling sick to my stomach when she was reacting that way.
And like saying how much she loved Rex, and like
it hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt.
No,
but I get it. But I get it.
TJ.
Yeah, there's just a lot in that issue, and I mean, obviously the thing that I called out was like him taking on Rex's name, and I did not like that at first.
Really?
When I first read it, I was like, oh, I really didn't like it because I was like, I know he was doing it to honor him, but I kind of felt like it was like more of a disrespectful thing because it's like, dude, like you're taking on his name, but he was Rex. You know what I mean? Like now you're just like taking over for him.
Yeah.
And it kind of like diminished.
You didn't want a Rex
a
replacement.
new Rex.
Yeah.
At his funeral, dude's like fresh on the ground.
Yeah.
But no, I understand like why that was important and why it was an homage more than that's not where his intentions were.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how I took it, especially like 15 years ago when I read that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's a lot of story for a conclusion.
Yeah.
To
which makes sense, though.
One of the biggest story arcs in
you want to end your thing by
series.
kind of showing what's coming next and like kind of wrapping things up, but also teasing what's coming. Like I get it. I get why, but like it was just like trying to think of something. I was like, you know what, this would be a fun one to talk about.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a good one. Indeed.
Issue 65.
Good job. So who's got the next
65.
one then?
It'll be one of you two. We'll decide off air.
Okay.
No, we gotta decide now.
Did we decide on air last time?
We did.
I think we did. Yeah.
I thought it was off air. All right. Well,
Bill, do you want to go next or you want me to go?
I don't care. Whatever. Ryan, how about you hand it off?
You decide.
Yep. So it's like truth or dare. You have to pick the next one.
But I mean, we're establishing the rotation though.
Yep.
Okay.
So you decide the fate of the rotation going forward. Just choose whichever friend you like the most.
No, don't. No. Here's why. I'm gonna say Bill.
Yeah.
Because
wow.
I'm gonna say Bill.
Right.
Because I want.
Oh,
because I know
you don't need to explain.
No,
you don't need to explain.
I have a good explanation.
No,
I have a good explanation.
No, we know.
Because TJ, you and I will over prepare, and we need something in the middle.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Ryan, you can tell Ryan had like his bullet points off to the screen, like he's reading everything, and I'm just
of course.
And yeah, it's
I'm right, TJ. You know I'm right. We got to break it up.
We're gonna be like getting ready to
guys.
record. You're gonna be setting up to do the intro, and Bill's just gonna be like flipping through.
Surprise, bitches.
Bill, what issue are you bringing up?
He's just got a dartboard with numbers. Yeah, sorry. Something
I
happened with my internet.
I wish I could prove you wrong.
No, it's all good. We just wrapped up issue spotlight, and again, just talking about how that issue was just a ton of stuff, just kind of wrapping up the end of Conquest, but also like showing what was coming next. Talked a bit about the funeral and Robot taking Rex's name, and Eve talking about how much she loved Rex when they were younger, and all that kind of stuff. And Mark being set on the path, saying he won't hesitate to kill somebody that gets in his way. And
as you were going over it, it felt like that's the issue where they're like, we know we spent all this time on a big fight with Conquest. Let's remind you of every other plot line that's happening in the book right now.
So like I'm a sucker for, showing all the different things and showing all the threads, but also the callbacks to the other books and connective tissue and all that kind of stuff. So there was a lot of fun stuff in that issue to reread. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's that.
All right, what's next?
So one thing that we haven't done in a while that we figured we'd just touch on. We'll just go over some other stuff. It's the Other Stuff show with the guys talking about other stuff. Yeah.
I've got an email to kick us off into this. This comes from our friend Mike Barrett. He says,
Mike Barrett.
"Hi guys, it's been a while since I wrote in, but I haven't missed an episode. Welcome, Wyatt. Like everyone else, I'm super excited for season 2, but I would also like to hear about what other shows, movies, and comics you've been absorbing recently. How did you like the new Spider-Man movie? Thoughts? Best animated film ever? Did you see Transformers? Did you hear Daniel Warren Johnson's next comic is going to be Transformers? So hyped. I also need to hear your thoughts on the Ted Lasso, Succession, and Barry finales." And then he wants to talk about some upcoming stuff. So we're going to put a pin in this. I want to talk about the upcoming stuff because he makes a good point here. But want to do kind of a rapid fire on the things he asked?
Sure. I'll go first.
Spider-Man.
Really quick. Spider-Man, not as good as the first one. Still really good. Thought it had some pacing issues. I would rank it. If I gave Into the Spider-Verse 100%, I would give Across the Spider-Verse like an 80.
Okay. I thought
Transformers. I thought Transformers was surprisingly good. I really loved Bumblebee, and I really liked Noah and Mirage's relationship in this last Transformers movie.
Did you watch Ted Lasso, Succession, or Barry?
I just started season 3 of Ted Lasso. I haven't even started Succession, and Barry I still need to catch up on as well. So
Okay.
don't have an opinion there.
TJ?
Succession
Spider-Man.
was
Oh.
okay. Spider-Man. I kind of agree with Bill. Yeah, I agree with Bill. I mean, the first one is great. There's just so much more in the second one. I'm not going to say it's better. I still definitely prefer the first one. The second one is great though. Starts out a little slow and then it really picks up and then it just like crushes you in the end. The ending is incredible. Really enjoyed it. A lot of really good fun action and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Transformers was next, right?
Yep.
Transformers was better than I thought it was going to be because I thought it was going to be atrocious. I enjoyed it. The ending was really cool too. Yeah, I liked it. Like Bill said, Mirage was great. Yep.
Ted Lasso.
I have not started season 3 yet. I typically only like binge one show at a time, and I'm actually binging like kind of 2 right now. So I'm watching From because of Bill, and also Barry, which is the other one. So Barry, I have 2 episodes left, and I always describe Barry as being a show that I've never like absolutely loved. I've always loved the season finales because the season finales are insane.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first season that I'm like thoroughly enjoying the season leading up to the finale. Like this season is incredible so far. Succession, fucking incredible. I love that show so much. Loved the ending. It could not have been more perfect and more deserving of each character and how they ended up. Loved it. What was the other one?
That's it.
That's it.
You got it.
Okay.
Wyatt,
Hey,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, pretty much agree. It was fantastic. I think there are some ways that it is better than the first. As a whole, I feel like I still like the first the best. Kind of wish that it wasn't a part 1, part 2 of the new one. But I had a blast. It's visually incredible.
Yep.
Transformers.
I'm just gonna copy and paste that. That's exactly what I was gonna say. So copy and paste that. That's how I felt about Spider-Man as well.
Transformers, I haven't seen yet. Ted Lasso, I'm like Bill. I think I started like 1 or 2 episodes of season 3, but still need to finish. Succession is one of the best like written shows just HBO has ever put out, I feel like. And it's one of those shows that's like there's no crazy like action sequences. People aren't getting like shot up and stuff like that in the episodes, but it's so like devastating. Like it's a fantastic. I am gonna miss it a bunch now that it's gone. And then same with Barry. I was like so sad that both those shows ended on the same night because I was watching them like as they came out. I've loved Barry. I feel like each season leading up to this one has been better than the last. Like I've enjoyed it even more. And this season is wild and it is very unpredictable. And there's some crazy like twists that I did not see coming, but it's a very like unique show that makes me just really excited to see whatever Bill Hader does next. Cause he directed, I think, every episode this season and all of them were like,
oh my God, did
shocking.
He really?
Yeah.
I
believe so.
Wow.
I could be getting that wrong, but I remember reading that he had directed every episode this season.
I didn't know it was every.
Yeah.
I knew he directed 1 or 2 last season, but I didn't know. Wow, this season of
fantastic.
This, I'm not sure about the final season of Barry. I'd like to talk more about it off air. I'm not sure about it, but it is.
I can see that. Like
Yeah.
I said,
well
it
made.
takes
It's
some
incredibly
very big twists and turns that I was not sure about.
It goes some different places. Transformers, I probably liked it the least out of those of us that have seen it, the Rise of the Beast or whatever. The end scene has a really great action scene that most of it is in the trailer. There's a great needle drop. Other than that, it was just mostly forgettable. Then Ted Lasso ended as it began. It was always a incredibly, annoyingly optimistic, perfect show. It was just so good and always just, man, so many times during this final season, a random episode in the middle of the season would end and we'd be like, that could have been a finale. That was just such a well-rounded story. Like the writers were just so incredible on that show and they crushed it. I loved that show. That was amazing. And then Succession was great. It was very good. I was never the biggest fan of it. I mean, the first few seasons or couple seasons or whatever it was were good. I liked them. They were okay. The writing's always been amazing. I just was never in love with the characters as much, and I know you're not supposed to, but that kind of thing just doesn't do much for me. But the finale and the final season were amazing. They really, really landed that plane. And anything else before I move on to the rest of the email?
No, go ahead.
So, Mike Barrett continues. Another thing to consider. Let's assume Invincible is released in September or October this year. And no, I don't have any inside knowledge of the actual date. I think we should take a look at the other content being released in those months and talk about how busy it will be watching and playing all of those things in those 2 months. Ryan, help out if I missed anything. Yeah, all of us help if there's anything else we missed here. And I have been thinking about this because obviously anytime something comes up, this affects me a lot because September, October is my Black Friday, busy season of the year for me during harvest at the winery. And it is incredibly busy for me. And so it's tough anytime things release in that date or in that time period. So anytime I see, oh, this is coming out in, mid-September, I'm like, shit, So here's a list of things. Movies in September, October: Equalizer 3, Expendables 4, The Nun 2, The Creator, Five Nights at Freddy's, Kraven the Hunter, Saw 10, Killers of the Flower Moon, a Martin Scorsese movie. Not too many there for me.
That movie looks incredible.
That's the one where Brendan Fraser's in it. So he's in it with Leo. That one is going to be one to look out for. I don't really care about the other ones, though.
The other ones don't do too much for me.
Yeah,
same.
It's okay. So we're good.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to the rest of the year, I have blinders on because I just don't care about, other than Invincible, I don't care about anything except for Dune 2. I cannot wait for Dune 2.
When is Dune 2?
It's I think it's November.
Okay, yeah. So that'll still be, that could still dip into season 2 territory, but it should be okay for, well, again, we're assuming September, October. Wheel of Time season 2, The Continental, the John Wick universe is in September.
Bill.
Loki season 2 is going to be a thing.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lessons in Chemistry, a Brie Larson Apple TV show. I don't know much about that one. But that's interesting. And then video games. Okay. Mortal Kombat 1, Starfield, Lies of P, Spider-Man 2, Forza, Motorsports, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Lords of the Fallen, Alone in the Dark, Gangs of Sherwood. There's a few here.
Spider-Man 2, obviously. Lies of P looks really great. Starfield.
Did you play the demo for Lies of P?
No.
There's a demo out.
There's a demo?
Good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
Man.
Alone in the Dark? What is that a remake of?
I don't know. But yeah, between Spider-Man 2, Starfield, Mortal Kombat 1, Lies of P, that's gonna be tight.
Yeah, games is where it's at. So
Spider-Man 2 was the only really big one that I had been looking forward to. And then this Starfield Direct that they just did with Xbox, where they spent 45 minutes showing all of the different systems. It's my dream game. Just the idea, just the stuff they showed where you can build your own spaceship and customize it. I would pay $70 just for that. Yeah. I would pay $70 and just play that for hours and hours. And there's a whole other game on top of that.
Not just one. There's
I know.
Yeah. It's
crazy.
So this fall is going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. We're going to be, it's all good things though. It's all good things. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm currently replaying the first Spider-Man game just to get back into it. And it's been fun. Mm-hmm. The remastered edition. Wyatt, you've got an email for us too.
Yeah, we should have brought this up during Void Rivals. That was my fault. I should have alluded to this, but go for it, right, Wyatt?
This is from Paul Giandinato, I think is how you pronounce his last name.
Sounds right.
Apologies if I butchered that. He says,
welcome to the Invincible podcast. We butcher every name.
He says, hi, I've been following your podcast for a while, and I'm so excited to see you talk about Void Rivals. I loved Kirkman's work for years now, and to see him tackle my favorite franchise of all time, Transformers, is so cool. What are your thoughts on the robots in disguise being a part of this new IP? Do you have any favorite Transformers you want to see in this comic? And I think we've all kind of touched on that we don't necessarily have any, connection to Transformers, but like I said, I'm excited to be sold on new characters.
Cheetor. Yeah. Cheetor and Starscream.
Rat Trap.
Starscream.
Who is the Raptor? It's probably Raptor or something. Shoot, the Raptor was cool in Beast Wars.
Dinobot.
Was it just Dinobot?
It was Dinobot. Yeah.
It's kind of weird. But no.
He was, dude, you remember Dinobot? he was a
like
fucking
changing
Predacon.
sides and everything.
Yeah, dude, he was. Oh my god, so
No,
good.
Beast Wars was cool. And then I mean,
Beast Wars was awesome.
Once like I learned more and like saw the Michael Bay movies and everything, I always liked Starscream. And I like the idea of that like Weasley like second in command that was always trying to get rid of the one in charge and become the one in charge. Like I liked all that kind of stuff too. So
he was and to tie back to the 80s movie that we both watched, he was very funny in that way in that movie of like there's one frame where Megatron's just like, you're an idiot, Starscream. Like he's just mean to him and terrible the whole time. I was laughing quite a bit at this. Paul continues and says, lastly, with an actual Void Rivals question, I feel like the twist at the end of issue 1 is setting up that the Agorians and Zertonians are actually the same species, but some sort of civil war divided them, and now they're pretending to be two different species. What do you think? Thanks for taking the time to read this. Hope you have a great day.
I don't agree, except their foreheads were different. So I don't know if that's like a gender thing or maybe it is a species thing. But there's definitely more.
The gender thing is a good note that I didn't pick up on, TJ. I assumed it was just a different something else, but maybe that is just that.
No,
I don't know.
I think it has to do with because Handroid was very like, no, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing this. I think that like,
I think Handroid knows.
Yep.
I think
I do too.
I think that AI or whatever that technology is dividing them for a reason, but they're the masterminds behind it all.
Interesting.
They kept saying like, you got to kill her now. You got to kill her. You got to kill her.
5 issues from now, that Handroid and like the AI that controls it is the ultimate bad guy would be really fucking cool. Just to kind of go back to issue 1,
but still has like a really good, sense of humor.
Yeah.
Like,
that's neat.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Very cool.
Is that it for emails?
I think that's it. Yeah.
That's it.
I mean,
cool. Was there anything else anybody else wanted to touch on before we wrap up the episode?
I think we've got a lot in this episode. So,
yeah. I mean, again, and I'm going to keep saying it. We're releasing more sporadically now, so hit that subscribe button. Keep an eye out on our Twitter because we're going to be releasing a lot more cool stuff. Some things with Lorenzo coming up, Lorenzo de Felici coming up. San Diego Comic-Con is coming up. Things are happening, and we're excited about them. So, hit that subscribe button, and we will see you guys soon.
That's right.
I can't even say next month. It's going to soon. We'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye. She takes those big things off.
Maz Kanata?
Yeah. Holy
hey, it's
shit!
Kyle
Oh my god!
Hello.
Oh, you don't have the
surprise.
You don't have the names up?
No, I was trying to keep it clean because again, we're not. I'm just taking the video files anyways.
Hold on.
Oh, here you go. No, I got it.
There we go.
So
I just wanted to pop in and say hi and let you know I'm coming for you, Bill.